right, so that should be working. So I'm just going through the front facade mainly, and so it's a good chance to look at the Edit Profile tool, which you have, like I was saying, when you select any wall, and I'm just going to go into a 3D view and quickly draw another wall, just to give you a basic idea what you can do with this tool. If I select it, you'll see again, if I just click Edit Profile, then I can draw any shape from the side. So I'll just draw a couple of shapes there. So this is all within the wall's boundary, and that's going to change the wall's profile. So it's like working in elevation. And again, if I go to Edit Profile, you can use that to change the outer shape of the wall. So if I draw some lines at the top here, and we'll do some curves as well. So you can have any shape you like. Okay, so I'll get rid of that original top line, and just using trim, make sure those all join together. So now if again I finish the wall, it'll change into that shape. So it's a really quick way of customizing the shape of any wall, and that can still be changed to any different wall type that you have. So I've got here some other walls, and so it's still a wall that will behave just the same, and you can have windows and doors inserted just like any other wall. So I'll get rid of that one. And so over here you can see I've got the main wall, which has the top set to the parapet level. Okay, so if you haven't made that in the section view, just check that you have the level for the top of the main wall at the moment, and then the parapet level should be above that. And so then you'll need to have the main wall at the front set to that. And then also, just a couple of little tricks there with at the front of the building, with that wall, you need to check that it goes all the way across. And you'll see if you select it, whether it does. So you can see mine at the top and the bottom extends all the way. And what I mean by that is if I go and, I'll go and change it using this tool here, which again comes up whenever you select a wall. You can always go to Wall Joins. And then if you go over any wall join, so that's where any two walls join, then you get on the options bar the ability to cycle through the different wall joins that are possible. And so I've gone and changed to the next wall join, and now I cancel it, and you can see if I select my side wall, it goes through to the front now, and the front wall now finishes and butts up to that side wall. And so I don't want that. With the parapet, we want it to go all the way to the edge, so we can edit that that shape that we need. So I'm going to again go back to wall joins, and then clicking on that corner there, you can see this boundary line that comes up. So that's showing me how this wall extends to the end. So I'm going to leave it on but and then go to next, and you'll see now the boundary line's gone to the left, and it's clear through from the front wall. So that's done, and then again if I select this wall to check that it's working, it goes all the way to the end now. And so you can do that with any wall, or any two walls that join. So again, if I go to the well, let's quickly go to the 3D view, and you can again see there that it goes all the way in that view as well. And so in the east elevation, I can see that wall from the front. And so you can see there we've got the interesting shape that you have on top of this parapet. And so I'm going to reproduce that in Revit. And so to do that, I'm just going to insert this file, east elevation, into that east elevation view you have in Revit. So again, just on the Insert tab, I'm just going to go to Import CAD. and then browsing. So to the Museum of Census Resources folder, and got east elevation there, and it's really important here that you tick current view only, because we don't want the elevation to come up in 3D views and other things. Yep. So you can always just delete it after you've done that anyway. Yep. Yep. So exactly. Yep, it will. Yep. So unless you have that option on, yep, that's what it'll do. And I'm also going to set the units to millimeters just to make sure, and then open, and it should come in. Okay, so with the AutoCAD object selected, I'm just going to use the Move tool, and then I'm going to snap it at the base to make sure my levels are correct. So snapping to the endpoint there, I can then snap that to the corner that I have at the edge of my floor. So this is my ground floor level. That's the outside edge of my wall. And I want to make sure it's the endpoint there, so I'm going to type SE, which will force it to snap to the endpoint. So that should be lined up pretty well. And then you can see that my parapet level needs to come up, but that's fine. I can simply select it in this view, and then again use the Move button and pick it up on the line of that that same level, and then snap it onto the AutoCAD. Alright, so then with the Edit Profile tool, so I'm going to just deselect that and then select my wall. Notice also I've got a separate wall on the upper level. So if you haven't done that, just make sure that you change the wall that is at the front of the building to start on the or to have the base level or base constraint over here set to level 1. And then you'll need to make another wall for the lower level, because the entry has some changes to the wall, and you will need a separate wall for that bottom level. So again, just with the wall that I have going up to the top of the parapet now, if I go to Edit Profile, then using Pick Lines, I'm simply going to pick from the AutoCAD lines where possible. Now, it's maybe not going to get all of them, but it'll get some of them, probably just the straight ones. And yeah, unfortunately, not much else. So yeah, well, usually it can, but these might have been made with splines or something, so yeah, it can struggle with those. And well, even these. Actually, it's because well, it's not highlighting it, and it's actually I know why. It's because this came from Illustrator, so those all would be a spline. Normally, even curved things, it won't be a problem if they come from AutoCAD to pick them. So anyhow, it's fine though just to trace them. So using the arc here, the arc tool, I'm going to trace that shape, and you can see it's actually snapping to it then. I might need a couple of arcs here, but I'll see if I can do it with one. That'd be good. No, so I'll need to do a couple of arcs. So again, just starting at the end there, and then going to, yeah, exactly, something like that. Just be careful when you're drawing arcs like this. If it goes over the line, then the shape won't work. So you need to just keep that, the tangent, so where the arc goes up, needs to be above the line. And now another one here. And there we go. So I don't need to keep drawing that, I can just copy that now. So just using Control, and actually I'll draw the circle as well. So well, just need to draw the outside part of it. So again, just with an arc, I'll draw the outer edge, not being too fussy. And well, actually, yeah, no, this is just a guide. So what I'm doing at the moment is an outline of this parapet shape. Later on, if you need to add more detail, you might model that with a sphere, but see how you go. It's an interiors project, and you really just do want an indication of that form at first. So I'll just draw a line across here, and yeah. So now, using a window left to right, I can easily select those parts that I want, and yep, and then copy them. Oh, so when you go left to right, it only selects things inside the window. whereas right to left. Exactly, exactly. Yeah. And you can tell when you get the dashed line or the continuous. So yeah, so again, left to right, and then with copy, I can snap to, well, maybe to the endpoint there, hopefully will work, and then if I snap to the endpoint here, yep, that's lined up well enough. So actually I might get rid of that line, and then I'll just keep copying that shape. And again, this part I'll just copy. Oh yes, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah. So there, good trick with Revit is if you select the lines there, those three on the right, and then this one here I've left, but you can see it's touching the one that I've selected. So if I nudge that back now, it'll keep it joined. And for this, close enough is good enough. Yeah, just using the arrows on the keyboard. So the left arrow there, and then I'll just get rid of that line, and that'll be good enough. So once these are connected, then the other side is symmetrical, so I can select those and mirror exactly. And so I've got a center line, which is my grid, and
So can I say, I actually found that the drawing wasn't symmetrical.
it's not. So yeah, and that's probably based on what's there in real life.
In
So
real life it looks symmetrical.
yeah, it probably would be close to it, but because you've got there's a slight difference in the way they've done the gutter on the wall on one side, and so that truss might be slightly offset. And so if it could be 100 mil to one side, I wouldn't be worried if you make the building symmetrical. It might just be easier to do your design that way.
Is that okay?
Yeah, yep, I wouldn't be worried.
Doing my head in.
Yeah, no, don't get too carried away with the detail of the existing. So then, yeah, again here, well, you can see it's not even drawn symmetrically, and I'd say that's not real life. So the person who did the drawing in AutoCAD probably did take, you know, a few shortcuts, but that's okay. So yeah, if you obviously get it to look the way it needs to, that's the main thing. And so here I'm just using trim to join those lines at the end, and now with an arc I'll just draw here. I'm snapping to the quadrant, which is hard to see, but it's the I suppose the quarter point or the compass point on the side of the circle there, and that's a good point to use here because again I want to make sure the curve doesn't go over itself. So there, it's again it's being difficult because it wants to snap to its tangent, also to the tangent. So I'm going to zoom in, and that might make it easier. Still not working. So again, I'll use let's say SM, which is snap to midpoint, and that'll force it to snap to that that curve there. It hasn't followed exactly, but I think it's mainly because the AutoCAD drawing's not perfect. And again, I'm going to keep using trim to join these lines together because it's really important that this is a closed shape in the end. And so that's essentially the top part done, and so I'll just finish that. And so in 3D, that's good enough for now.
Wow.
And so again, it's an interiors project. If you happen to see a 3D or perspective view from the outside where you pick that up, that probably would be good enough anyway. But for the elevations and other things, it's definitely going to be enough. So now in the elevation, again, I don't need that drawing anymore, so I'm just going to delete it, the AutoCAD reference. And just so you know, if you want to get the elevations and other drawings to show some of this other detail without having to model it in 3D, it's really important that you realise you can always draw in 2D in Revit, just like you can in AutoCAD, using detail lines. So it's on the Annotate tab, you've got detail lines, and you can just draw any of the shapes that you can draw normally. So you can draw rectangles. You've got your line weights here. It's just like AutoCAD line weights. So you can have lines of obviously varying weights, and it works really well. Yes, absolutely. Yep. And that would be a really good way to do it. So anyhow, I'm going to delete that for now, but just so you know, if you need to get things onto your drawing, so it's a good way. And so, yeah, so just to finish off the walls there, you've got the rear as well, which has a much simpler profile, and then that'll give us enough to do the roof. So I'll let you work out the rear one. You've got the elevation there, so you just get you started, insert, import CAD, and then you've got the west elevation there, and so you should be able to bring that in and then use the same techniques. Maybe I will, sorry. I didn't realise there is a bit of a trick there. With this one, I'll again move it into position and just show you the things to watch out for. Okay, so here I can't see it anymore because it's behind everything. So I'm going to go to wireframe. Now I can see that it definitely is there. The wall at the rear, if I select it, you can see that it's, well, it's hard to see there, but it's the same as the front wall. It's going all the way across, well, on one side, and then on the other side, oh no, actually, so it's been joined at the top, so it's going, it's stopping inside the wall on both ends. And I've also changed this wall, so that's the main thing I wanted to show you, that if you haven't fixed that join, might just bring that back. Have you seen, I don't know if you've got anything unusual happening with this wall, but no, I can't get it to do it. There we go. So you might have an unusual join like that with this wall, and I've seen it with a few people that that join isn't working properly because you've got three walls that join there. So you'll need to fix that first before worrying about the profile. And so it's again all to do with the way the wall joins work, and a good way of fixing this one is to take that wall that comes from the basically the stair away, just by dragging it with the grip away from the other two, and don't worry about any messages you get here, either unjoin elements or OK. I'm going to use unjoin elements. And then make sure these two walls join. So if they don't join properly after that, again, that's okay. Then, so I'll just drag that further away. So it might end up being something like that, or it might be joined in an unusual way. Just use trim to create that corner. And then before you bring this wall back, you'll need to just select it, right click on the grip at the end, and then go to disallow join. And so that'll prevent it from trying to create its own join. Exactly, yeah, that's right. So now if I go to disallow join, and then drag it across, so that it touches the other wall, it's still going to have an edge between them, but then you can use join geometry, choose those two walls, and it'll heal that, and then you'll get a perfect join. Right, so then having done all of that, you'd have to use wall joins, and then clicking on this wall here, or on the intersection, I'm going to go to next, until I get this end wall going all the way through. And do the same at the bottom. So again, just by clicking on that intersection, and then using next, eventually you'll get that line to come through.
So that's how you edit it so you can make it shorter?
Well, longer, essentially. So, okay, so here you can see that wall now goes all the way to the end, whereas before this one would have come through to the end there. And so then if I go into that elevation, west elevation, when I edit this wall now, it's going to the side of the building, to the outside of the building. Because, yeah, we've got to think about it as a 2D profile now. And so, well, I'll just do this. This one's fairly easy. So if I go to edit profile, having done all of that, the next part, it's not as complicated as the first one, using pick lines. I'm just going to, again, try to pick these lines, but it's come from Illustrator, so it doesn't want to be my friend. So I'll actually cancel that first, and I've got the line there, which is the main edge for the top of the wall. So I'm just going to drag that manually, and then go back to Edit Profile, and I'm just going to draw lines, and it's at least going to snap to that. So simply using mirror, pick axis. Again, okay, so the AutoCAD one's fairly symmetrical here, and well, so the person who drew it really probably just made up bits of it, but that's all right. So again, drawing an arc in there to finish it off, and split and then trim. And so that red dashed line there shows the original top of the wall, and where the wall, if you look at the property, still thinks its top is. So make sure you keep an eye on that, but otherwise I'll finish the wall, and again in 3D. You see that's done? Yeah, and so it's really important for this building because you need that to enclose the trusses, and then once you've got the roof on top, you won't have light coming in from the sun, and everything else is going to come together. So, yep, so I'll finish that one there.